Should you buy the new iPhone 14? Today we are going to take a look at whether or not it's worth the cost. Hello and welcome. My name is Peter B and I welcome you here at My First Million, where we are achieving our financial goals together. So, of course, this is not a technical review of the iPhone 14 because I'm pretty sure it's awesome. So, as this channel is focusing on finance, on personal finance, of course, this review is a financial decision, and we are going to take a look at whether or not it makes sense to purchase the newest iPhone 14 financially. So for this, let me switch the screen. So, in general, for a financial decision, how much do you spend on your phone? What phone? So there are two questions that will help you to determine the costs for your phone. What phone do you use? And how often do you change your phone? What's the interval that you are upgrading to the next newest phone or newer phone? So for me, always a financial decision comes down is what I want first, but then also take a look at the considerations, what are the other alternatives that I have. And usually the best alternative is potentially the most expensive one. And the other ones, the maybe very not as nice options are a little bit cheaper. So now let's take a look at what possibilities do we have. So maybe my preferred solution is the new iPhone 14 Pro Max, which has, I believe, a MSRP of $1,099. So this is the suggested sales price that Apple has been communicating. So for around $1,100, you get the newest, most newest, big and best iPhone on the market. Then together with the new iPhone 14 Pro Max, they also launched the new iPhone 14 Pro. And you see the cost here is $100 cheaper. So if you would cut down from the Max version to just the Pro version, you can save around $100. Another thing, if you would further try to reduce your phone expense, of course there are alternatives out there. The iPhone generally is of course considered as the top tier phone on the market, both from performance but also from cost perspective. So the alternative solutions could be like a mid-tier Android phone, which, for instance, I'm using a Google Pixel phone, and I think if you go for the Pixel 6a, currently it will cost around $449. So this is not the newest Pixel, but still still I believe on the market, the 6a. So then another option would be just buy less often. So there are people out there, of course, always need to have the newest version of the iPhone as soon as it's get out. And of course, this costs you much more than you just upgrade once in a while when you feel like my current phone is not doing the job anymore. So for me personally, I realized that I can potentially upgrade my phone every 4 or 5 years, and it still works nicely for me, even though I would consider myself a quite heavy smartphone user. As most people out there, I use my phone very frequently and very intensely. So, but I'm currently using the Google Pixel 3a, and I believe this has been launched back in 2019. So around 3 to 4 years already, maybe 3.5 years or so. And I feel like this phone does the job for me for at least another 1 to 2 years before I have the need to upgrade to a newer version. So this is then option 4, just upgrade much less more often. Then, of course, the cheapest opportunity is just not using a phone anymore. But is this really reasonable? I think most of us, or nearly every one of us, will not choose this option. And of course, you could be doing something in between. Instead of the newest iPhone, you can go one version back if it's still available on the market. Of course, you can have a little bit more expensive mid-tier phone with a little bit better performance, or you can even go to a cheap alternative on the smartphone market. And then of course the variance is there as well. Maybe if you buy the newest top tier phone, maybe if you take care of the phone, maybe it can help 6 or 7 years until you need to upgrade again. But maybe if you buy a cheaper version, or maybe a low tier phone, maybe every 2 or 3 years you need to upgrade to the next one. So of course there are a lot of different variations where you can go here, but I will just use this 5 options for this example to further visualize the true cost of a new high-end phone like the iPhone 14 Pro Max is. So now let's say, what's the annual cost? Of course, if you upgrade every year, always to the newest model every year, I believe it's usually updated once per year, your cost will be $1,100 per year just for the phone. If you go for the reduced version, so not for the max, but just to the 14 Pro, then you can have annual cost of $1,000. As mentioned before, the iPhone, the Pixel 6a is around $450. And just to mention here, this is no advertisement or promotion at all. I don't collect anything here, but just use this as examples in this slides. So, and of course, then the annual cost will significantly reduce if you only would upgrade once per 4 year. So you can see all the calculations here done is going to the next lower tier. So the $112 per year would be if you would still use the mid-tier phone, but only change it every 4 years, like what I'm potentially doing now, more or less. And stop using anything, of course you wouldn't have any annual costs as well. Of course you could be saying, I'm getting my phone for free because it's included in my plan with my telecommunication provider. But of course that's not true. The plan of course already consider the cost of the phone. So if you are going for a more expensive phone, then most likely your plan is also getting more expensive. And for me personally, I always like to purchase things separately. So I purchase this phone separately, and I'm getting my internet plan separately, not related to this phone. So these are the annual costs. So, but what does this mean in a lifetime? Potentially you are using a phone. Usually I think nowadays people start using a smartphone at the age of 10 when they're around a teenager, and they maybe use a phone until the rest of their life. Of course this might change in the future, but this is how currently people are using the phones. So potentially a lifetime cost for smartphones is around 70 years. It will take maybe around, if you have considering a life expectancy of 8 years, and minus the 10 years that at the beginning we don't need a phone, then you have 70 years of phone usage ahead of you. So how much will this cost you, this 70 years over a lifetime? So if you don't compound it at all, so if you just consider whatever you're paying out of your pocket, then you see the preferred solution of course is 70 times the $1,099, so you get nearly 77,000, and each step down for each alternative solution, it's getting cheaper and cheaper. So the mid-tier phone would be then around 31,000 lifetime cost, and if you just upgrade it every 4 years, it would just be around 8,000. And of course, this wouldn't be a financial channel if we weren't also considering the cost of opportunity. And what's the cost of opportunity here? This is the other column, the compounded column, showing the cost of opportunity. So as shown in previous videos, we covered the wealth cycle as the basics for personal finance. So the wealth cycle is showing that we are not only trying to improve our savings, but we also want to use the savings in investments in order to get a in order to start letting our money work for us and generate a passive income stream for us. So for everything invested, I personally usually use a compounding rate of return that I expect of 7.2%. Why I choose 7.2%? Because it's very easy usage for calculation. With 7.2% compounded, your investment should be doubling every 10 years. So whatever you have invested now, with 7.2% rate of return, and you always reinvest every return that you're getting out of the investment, you should be doubling your money within 10 years. And also I use 7.2% because I think it's quite reasonable, because it's a little bit below what the stock market is returning over a long period of time. Of course, maybe not in the recent times. Okay, so compounded, how much does the newest iPhone, if upgrading every year, will cost you? So after 70 years of spending this money, you could have instead $2 million US. You see, nearly $2 million US. The reduced option is still nearly $1.8 million US. Then the alternative solution is $800,000. And if you do it less often, then maybe just $200,000. And if you don't use a phone, of course, you could be saving all the money. So whatever you are going for, maybe let's say now you're currently upgrading every year. So your lifetime expense of a smartphone, it's potentially nearly $2 million. So if you would now do a switch to maybe a mid-tier phone and only upgrade every 4 years, you could be saving the $2 million minus the $200,000. So you would be saving roughly around $1.75 million if you would change your frequency and the type of phone that you're using. So this is, of course, never trust someone's calculations. If you weren't the one that manipulated the numbers. Me, for myself, how did I get these numbers is I have been using a simple compounding interest calculator from investor.gov. Also, again, not a promotion, just the tool that I have been using. And you can see here the blue line here is the contribution, and you see it's of course gradually increasing every year, every time you buy a new phone. And then the red line here is the compounding effect that you will see over time. And you can see at the beginning it's nearly the same as the blue line, but over time, the longer your time horizon is, the compounding effect is getting stronger and stronger. And this is showing you how we are ending up at nearly $2 million US for the most expensive version. So to sum this up, am I telling you not to buy the newest iPhone? Of course not. It's everyone's individual decision how you want to spend your money and where is your money well spent. Just for me personally, I always would consider, do I really get the best out of my money? And therefore, I personally will potentially never be using an iPhone, at least not until I'm achieve financial freedom. And of course, how often you're going to change your phone, of course, this is also up to you. But just always consider, keep this in mind, that every action, every purchase that you're making has effects, a long-term and potentially even compounding effect on your financial success. So just before you do the purchase, really consider, do you really need it? And I think that's potentially the key question. What do you really need? And I guess most of the people here are using a more powerful phone than what they really need. So of course the decision is then up to you. Please write down in the comments below, share your experience with us. What's from your perspective a good way to upgrade your phones, and what's a good interval? Share your experience here, and I'm also always happy to learn from you and to know more about different people's approaches. So thanks a lot for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and especially I look forward to see you winning financially.